In this lesson, we'll cover another major security threat, SQL injection. First, what is SQL? SQL, short for Structured Query Language, is a standardized programming language that is used to manage relational databases and perform various operations on the data in them. And here's how an SQL database would look like. This one is obviously some customer management database or something like that. And this is how you would grab data from an SQL database by using the select command. Now, this seems pretty simple to use, and that's all great, but why are we here? Well, this SQL setup and language can be exploited by attackers to grab more data than they should, and that method is called SQL injection. In fact, we will see later that the attackers can do more than just pick up more data, such as replace data, delete data, and so on. A SQL injection attack consists of insertion or injection of a SQL query via the input data from the client to the application. A successful SQL injection exploit can read sensitive data from the database, modify database data via these insert, update, delete commands, execute administration operations on the database, etc. Also, I mentioned in one of the previous lessons that we'll have some examples later on input validation attacks, and SQL injection is one of those. So SQL injection belongs to what is called input validation attacks. How does it really work? Let's look at an example. Here we have a website with some login text boxes. We type in our username, we type in our password, but in the backend, this is what that command sent to the database looks like. And this is the legitimate input. But if we were malicious, we could type in something like this in one of the fields. We'll type in the single quote sign to interrupt the command. If you look at the command that will be sent to the backend database on our right-hand side, it expects a string, but instead we give it a single quote, which closes that field and allows us to inject a different command. Now let's finish that username input. I'm going to insert this and we'll look at what that does later. Now we can just type in anything for the password, really. It doesn't actually matter. But now let's clarify what this OR command does. The way this query is set up is you need the correct username and password in order to be let in, right? Probably after this login page, there are some contents of this website. And in order to get through this login page and to that content, you need to enter the username and the password both correctly because we have this and logical operator in between. But we have injected something in between there that messes that up, as now only one of the two needs to be correct because we gave it an OR logical operator. And on top of that, we inserted a correct statement that 1 equals 1, which is obviously always going to be true, so that we've satisfied the one condition. Therefore, the database will do what it would normally do if the username and password were both correct. This is a rather simple example, but of course it's possible to do much more. For example, list out the contents of an entire database. Possibly that database is holding credentials such as login information, usernames and passwords. It might be holding card holder data, credit card numbers and credit card pins, etc. But you could also insert data that was not previously there, replace that data with untrue information, or even delete the entire database.